Camp is camp. It's tough, but it's for me to want to push myself. This is what I do. This is what I live for. I'm ready for battle. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I feel by the time the fight comes, I'll be at peak performance.
One more. One more. Beautiful. Good. That's what we've got to bring him on to. Nobody can take them.
It's unbelievable how far and how wide sports can take.
Mike Coe announced that the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup is fully finalized for December 2025 in Miami and will be broadcast on Netflix as an official professional heavyweight showdown.
The second leg of the training camp. I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling refreshed. So yeah, come inside, have a look what's going on. Tough training, tough lifestyle, rough and tough. But listen, how else would I want it? I love it. So what am I bringing differently? I wouldn't say a new mindset, but definitely like a new perspective. But ultimately, everything new has to lead to a win. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now, just winning. With training camp, it's grueling, like there's no doubt about that, but you just need to have a clear mind and be optimistic and run towards challenges every day. And that's how I'm able to get through, is just the perspective I have on what suffering looks like. There's a certain standard that one has to have if they want to achieve certain things. I am working past efforts, measures that I set out for myself. Yes, it's tough.
Eddie Hearn has firmly responded to that claim. Eddie Hearn likewise confirmed the fight, stating that it will take place under Queensberry rules rather than as an exhibition. He clearly rejected any altered rules, such as bigger gloves or reduced rounds, explaining they'll use 10 competition gloves, approve rounds, and compete within the normal professional boxing structure.
Joshua still didn't have an opponent for his next fight, but he was thinking of still fighting before the end of the year. And we've got some breaking news for you now, because we're hearing that AJ is in talks with Jake Paul over a deal for a heavyweight fight in Miami next month. Of course, the YouTuber Paul has already fought the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson, and beaten him. And he's now in talks with Anthony Joshua with a view to the two of them fighting.
He told Sky Sports they have no interest in exhibitions. If Paul wants to step in, it will be a real fight at a contracted weight. Even so, Hearn has warned that the deal isn't finalized yet. He calls the chances 50-50, saying there are still many discussions that need to take place.
Anthony Joshua, your man, and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a December heavyweight fight in Florida. True or false?
I mean, the gun was jumped a little bit and fired early. There have been conversations. For us, we were flirting with the idea of having this little 8-round fight this year. Not with Jake Paul, by the way, because he was fighting Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, that's not.
But we were going to go on a other card somewhere. You wouldn't have really heard of the person we were going to fight. But AJ wanted to go through the motions, wrap the hands, and just gear up to what is really in the works with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is 2 fights in 2026, and that includes Tyson Fury. That's the plan for Turki Al-Sheikh. We received a phone call from Nikisa Baldirian, from MVP, who, by the way, we've spoke to a few months before talking to us about the fight. And he said, look, would you want to fight Jake Paul? And I said, listen, I don't want to just be a publicity muppet for you, you know, telling everybody that you offered the fight to Anthony Joshua. If you're serious, we can discuss the numbers. And if there's a chance for us to run out in December and, you know, take care of this bloke and get him out of the boxing world and make several tens of millions in the process, of course, we will consider it. And that's basically where we are at now.
And do the numbers stack up?
Of course, I mean, like, you know, it's difficult to have this.
Hearn portrayed Paul as bold enough to chase the fight despite Joshua being a true heavyweight force, highlighting the massive payday awaiting both fighters. Still, he stressed the severe danger placing the inexperienced Paul against a seasoned AJ, calling it a disastrous mismatch that could destroy Paul's career, literally or figuratively right now.
Jake Paul, you know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe.
However, Hearn has recognized Paul's ongoing strategy of targeting professional boxers who can deliver massive paydays and elevate his profile in the sport.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But, as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit...
Here is your rewritten version. Clean, strong, narrative style, no extra lines, no robotic tone, same meaning. Simon Jordan has acknowledged that, despite his criticism, the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight could actually benefit boxing in several ways. He accepts that the matchup will pull an enormous global attention, attract millions of new viewers, and open major financial doors for everyone involved. Jordan notes that boxing is ultimately a business, and pairing a former heavyweight champion with one of the world's biggest digital entertainers guarantees money, media coverage, and mainstream interest. He believes the spectacle will engage casual fans, drive headlines, and spark widespread debate, all helping the sport stay relevant. Although he still questions its competitive value, he admits that commercially and financially the fight could be a significant win for boxing.
Jake Paul at the weekend, I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions. He's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money?
Simon Jordan also criticized the Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight, arguing that the entire promotion leaned more on nostalgia than true sporting merit. He said the matchup was being marketed through the legacy of their fathers' iconic rivalry from the 1990s, rather than what either fighter had accomplished in his own career. Jordan condemned promoters for exploiting history to hide the fact that the matchup lacked competitive logic, especially with Ben moving up in weight and Eubank Jr. cutting down dangerously. At the same time, Simon argued that this new matchup is nothing more than a blatant cash grab, not a legitimate competitive contest, a mismatch between a former heavyweight champion and a social media star, which
Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the world heavyweight championship twice, and he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment, and if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Well, I'm not having,
because this isn't a proper fight where a Saturday night is.
But I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And would I watch it? No. And do I value it? No. But when I'm asked to be confronted with a fight between two legends' sons and then get involved in all of the nonsense that goes.
Fueling the excitement, boxing legend Roy Jones delivered an unexpected viewpoint on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua showdown, one shaped more by caution than spectacle. He emphasized that the fight must make sense for Joshua both in competitive value and financial purpose.
It's the kind of returns that they're going to get for the level that they've operated in their careers. And that's one of my issues around the Conor Ben Eubank fight. This fight over here with Anthony Joshua, I know what this is. No one can dress this up. This is a turd that will get polished into a huge pile of money. And if you know that from the outset,
Yeah.
so I don't have any illusions about it. Neither does anybody else. Nobody thinks that this is a real fight. Nobody thought. I mean, Spencer tried his very level best and will never try it again to convince us that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Well, this is something similar, but
Yeah.
for different reasons. Anthony Joshua is still a live heavyweight, and if he hits Jake Paul's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And some people might think that's a good thing to happen to him to learn his lesson. But he is also now fighting. He's got a fighter's license. And the question should be along the lines of what Chris Eubank Sr. was raising. Is it right? Is this appropriate that a high-performing supreme athlete like Anthony Joshua, whose only real challenges now are probably in his mind, because physically he can operate at the highest level if he still chose to, should be stepping in against someone like Jake Paul that does not have the skill set to deal with the kind of power and expertise that Anthony Joshua has? And should boxing be sanctioning this? This is the bigger question.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Having said all that, Netflix tell us 60 million households worldwide tuned in live to see Mike Tyson take on Jake Paul.
Dave Farrer and Spencer Oliver discussed a rapidly escalating public debate over whether Anthony Joshua might fight Jake Paul. These discussions intensified after Saudi boxing Supriyo Turki Alshik hinted at giving the fight the green light during a TalkSport appearance at Wembley. Alshik confirmed Paul has verbally accepted a bout and expressed his desire for Joshua to dismantle Paul in a 991-style mismatch, calling it a win-win test of legitimacy on both sides. Is it real?
He could be fighting Jake Paul next. One, do you think it's good for boxing? And two, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fighting anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if he want to get a good win to put him back on.
Mike Burr has voiced significant concerns about the proposed Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, arguing that Paul's main motivation seems to be the massive payday rather than genuine sporting legitimacy. Copinger reports that negotiations are progressing, but still face major obstacles involving broadcast deals and official sanctioning. He stressed that Joshua represents a massive jump in size, power, and elite-level experience compared to anyone Paul has met, making it about potentially dangerous. According to Copinger, the commercial appeal may push it forward, but it raises serious questions about Paul's safety, his credibility as a boxer, and the integrity of the event.
He's got to be an idiot if he does, because Anthony Joshua, let's use this as a comparison. Francis Ngannou called Anthony Joshua out after pushing Tyson Fury the way that he did, and he looked at that and he went in there and he iced him in 2 rounds. Francis Ngannou versus Jake Paul, you got to go heavily on Francis Ngannou, haven't you? So what's going to happen to poor Jake Paul if he boxes Anthony Joshua?
Here is your rewritten version. Clean narrative, no extra lines, no additions, only what you wrote. A breaking report from Ring magazine states that Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are close to finalizing a deal for a heavyweight showdown on Netflix this December in Miami. Sources informed Ring magazine's Mike Carpenter of the negotiations. The reaction to this news is mixed. Anthony Joshua has spoken about taking warm-up fights before stepping into bigger matchups. Yet at the end of the day, it is prize fighting, and from Joshua, his team, and Matchroom's perspective, although fans won't like it, it will be viewed as a straightforward money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab. But at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not. Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed because it's a really dangerous fight.
Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring magazine's Mike Carpenter. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua is talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it, and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it
No,
either.
I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab, but at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed.
Meanwhile, Paul's promoter, Narkisabay Darian, has directly responded to concerns over the massive physical gap between Paul and Anthony Joshua, stating that size is something they can manage comfortably, with Paul reported to weigh around 210 to 215 pounds and Joshua closer to 252. Darian argued that Paul's strength and rapid development make the matchup realistic. He emphasized that Paul's experience fighting at heavyweight, including facing Mike Tyson, along with his continued improvement in the ring, leaves him confident about the margin. Across the boxing community, however, professionals have repeatedly raised concerns about the fight's legitimacy, safety, and long-term impact. While some acknowledge the commercial upside, very few regard it as a credible sporting contest.
And 2 of his losses are against Alexander Usyk. Usyk weighed in at 220 pounds for those fights. Jake is not Usyk, a lot more years of experience needed to get to that level, but Jake walks around between 208 and 210, and he fought Mike Tyson at 228 pounds. So I think size-wise, we can get comfortable with it, and I think experience-wise, Jake is learning very fast and growing, and Joshua is a little long in the tooth. So it could be a very interesting matchup, and we're actively discussing it with Matchroom.
Don't put it past Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man. So
you really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. I mean, come on. Like, Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he? But
what do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it, and I'd love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously...
At one point, you were good friends.
I'm still good friends, but obviously if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him, but then on the camera I'm talking, you know? Is this not what we're on?
Fair enough.
Is everyone not fake, or no? We all... What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like, what?
The clash between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul embodies everything boxing is struggling with in the modern era. The pull between pure sporting competition and commercial spectacle. For Joshua, it offers a massive payday and a chance to push himself back into the global spotlight after the setbacks in his heavyweight run. For Paul, it stands as the biggest gamble of his boxing career, and opening to show he can share a ring with a true elite or expose the ceiling of a resume built on celebrity momentum.
I convince people that he's a legitimate boxer. He's not a legitimate boxer. You've picked someone who was a professional boxer, whose dad was a legend of professional boxing. You might as well pick...
Former world champion George Groves has also rejected the idea of Anthony Joshua stepping into a fight with Jake Paul, seeing no genuine sporting value in it. He argues that Joshua deserves meaningful matchups against real contenders, not crossover attractions. Groves described the proposed bout as low risk and low legacy, insisting that Joshua should either retire or hold out for a mega fight with Tyson Fury, which he believes is the only matchup that truly matters for Joshua's legacy.
Oh, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there. But Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening. It's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face-to-face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly going to be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3 because obviously the last 2 were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against...
Here is your rewritten version. Clean narrative, no extra phrases, no additions. You never truly know what can happen.
A chance against
Does
AJ?
Jake Paul have any real chance against Anthony Joshua? Is this matchup good for the sport or simply a complete spectacle? Share your thoughts in the comments below.